An ancient dragon is suddenly killed by a human, leaving him baffled. Why me? Did I forget to send a thank you note or something? He wonders, unable to comprehend the attack. As far as he can recall, he's never had any quarrel with humans. In fact, he's gone out of his way to help them on numerous occasions. Despite his curiosity, the humans aren't offering explanations. So, instead of making a fuss, he shrugs and thinks, well, it's been a good run. As he crumbles to dust, he asks the Grim Reaper for a peaceful trip to the afterlife. But the Reaper, always one to throw in a plot twist, stuffs his soul into a newborn instead. The dragon opens his eyes as a baby named Dolan, complete with doting parents and an older brother. Years pass, and Dolan grows into a hardworking, kind-hearted 16-year-old who's got his own place and a daily routine of farming and village life. One day, while fishing with his brother, he recalls that tomorrow he's heading out to the swamp to investigate the mysterious disappearance of all the lizards. His brother tries to talk him out of it, suggesting that the village guards should handle it. But Dolan, ever the I'll-do-it-myself guy, explains that the guards are too busy and it's not worth bothering them over some missing reptiles. After hauling in a decent catch, Dolan heads back to the village to show his friends, Melita and Albert, who admire his fishing skills but worry about his upcoming swamp adventure. Dolan reassures them, explaining he's been preparing for it. He even thanks Melita for helping convince the village chief to let him go, and she, in turn, expresses confidence in his ability to handle things. Back home, while preparing the fish, Dolan reflects on how the village functions as a close-knit community where everyone contributes to its safety. Just then, his friend Era shows up to remind him about their magic practice, something that had completely slipped his mind. They head over to his magic instructor's place, where Dolan effortlessly blasts a target to pieces with his offensive magic. While his instructor praises his skills, she reminds him that his healing magic could still use a lot of work. Later that evening, Dolan encounters a noble girl named Christina in the town square. With her striking white hair and confident demeanor, she introduces herself, and as they shake hands, Dolan immediately senses she's no ordinary noble. This girl is a fighter. The village chief warns him to be on his best behavior around her, but Dolan's already thinking, I'd better stay on her good side. As he walks away, Dolan muses on how different life is as a human compared to his former dragon self. Instead of worrying about hoarding treasure or battling knights, he now has to deal with practical concerns like surviving winter and avoiding heat stroke in summer. Later, at his parents' house, he enjoys a hearty meal and is reminded by his father that finding a wife wouldn't be a bad idea, especially one who can cook like his mom. Though he's heard it all before, Dolan's still not quite ready to settle down, preferring his single life for the time being. The next morning, as Dolan prepares to head out on his swamp investigation, the entire village turns up to give him a send-off. Though he thinks it's a bit much for what he assumes will be a simple trip, Captain Balon insists it's the least they can do for someone taking on a dangerous mission. Dolan, ever the modest adventurer, smiles and thinks, if only they knew I used to be a dragon. How hard can this really be? Melita, being the voice of reason, reminds Dolan that if he's off playing swamp detective and a monster decides to drop by the village, there'll be no one to keep it from wrecking the place. Everyone in town wants to chip in and help Dolan out, so the local nun, Letitia, gives him a little blessing, and Ira hands him a bento box to keep him from going hangry during his adventure. With a round of luck and good wishes, Dolan sets off to the swamp to solve the mystery of the missing lizards. Turns out, these swamp-dwelling lizards used to swing by Dolan's village for some casual hangs, but then one day, poof, they vanished. Not one to ignore weirdness, Dolan volunteers to investigate, even if he's a bit uneasy about what he might find. When he finally reaches the swamp, he puts his hands to the ground and immediately knows why the lizards split. The earth elemental's power is spiking while the water elemental's is fading. Basically, the place is off balance. Right on cue, Dolan hears rustling in the bushes, putting him on high alert. In this swamp's current state, only something seriously powerful could survive. Sword ready, he braces himself for battle, only to be face to face with a Lamia, and not just any Lamia, a total stunner. Selena, the charming if a bit scatterbrained snake woman, asks if Dolan is alone. Once he confirms, she's visibly relieved, because what she's about to do is apparently so awkward. She'd be mortified if there was an audience. She tries to recall the whole charm spell routine her mom taught her, but bless her, she's way off. Dolan, more confused than charmed, watches as she fumbles through it. But just as things start to get more bizarre, a massive mud monster shows up, and this one doesn't look like it's here for small talk. The mud monster charges at Selena, but Dolan jumps in, slicing off its arm and dragging her to safety. They hunker down, staying silent until the monster gives up the search. Once it's gone, Selena, still catching her breath, asks what that beast was. Dolan explains it's a rogue earth elemental, likely the reason all the lizards bailed. Apparently, an earthquake threw the elemental into a tantrum, and things aren't going to return to normal anytime soon. Dolan asks if Selena, like other Lamias, can use magic. She confirms, but being an earth monster herself, most of her spells would just be a bad joke against the elemental. However, she's got one trick that might work, so Dolan hatches a plan. He'll take on the monster head-on, while Selena backs him up. Selena's a little nervous about teaming up with a human she just met, but she's fresh out of options. They spring into action, and while Dolan engages the elemental in combat, Selena casts a spell, summoning a giant snake to bind the creature. Though the spell doesn't hold for long, it buys Dolan enough time to get within striking range. Infusing his sword with energy, he slices the elemental in half, finishing the job. Unfortunately, the victory is a messy one, as all the elemental mud turns back into regular mud, splattering Selena from head to tail. Dolan rushes over to check if Selena's okay, and while she's not injured, she's got an unplanned mud bath to deal with. Later, they set up camp, and Dolan cooks dinner for the two of them. Selena's surprised that he's not freaked out by her Lamia-ness, to which Dolan casually mentions he's met Lamias before. However, Selena's different. Most Lamias are wary of humans, but Selena's kind of, well, adorable. As they share a meal, Selena explains why she's away from her village. It's tradition for 17-year-old Lamias to leave home and find a husband. But thanks to a curse, Lamias only give birth to girls, and finding a guy who's immune to their poisonous touch. Yeah, not exactly easy. Her mom lucked out by finding the perfect human husband, and Selena hopes for similar fortune. Dolan just nods, saying he's happy for her, which flusters Selena, making her think he's treating her like a kid. But Dolan assures her he just finds her cute, and that sends her into an adorable spiral of awkwardness. She tries his soup and loves it so much she starts gushing about it, only to catch herself mid-ramble and apologize for the enthusiasm. Dolan laughs it off, happy she enjoyed it, reminiscing about how his family used to gather around a fire on cold nights with the same dish. Selena can sense how much Dolan cherishes his family, a far cry from his former life as a solitary dragon. The next morning, it's time to say goodbye. Dolan wishes Selena luck on her husband quest, but before parting ways, he wants to give her a gift. Knowing Lamias like life energy, he pours some of his own into her, but it's a little too potent, causing her to faint. Whoops. Once she recovers, Dolan invites her to visit him sometime at his village, and with that, he sets off for home. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode and don't forget to subscribe.